Well, Ben, so we're going to have once more the Select versus Thorzain, and once more it's going to be dual side. That's.
I made the shrug. You guys didn't get to see it because it was off camera. But that's right. Select versus Thorzain again on dual site. The map process, the map choosing process is a veto process. The guys have a map pool. They veto until one map is left. And in this case, it was dual site twice.
Yep. These games are not live, by the way, guys. These guys had a tricky traveling schedule, obviously, with DreamHack and all the other tournaments they participated in. So these games are not super live, but they are very recent. And, well, obviously, we are completely unaware of the results. That's why we are as much in the dark as you guys are.
And a huge game here. Thorzain must win if he wants to keep his NASL hopes alive. Select must win if he wants to keep his NASL hopes alive. And Niden right now is just delighted that that he might only have to play 2 games.
Yeah, certainly, since Niden unfortunately had to cancel his participation to DreamHack due to illness, which yeah, really made me sad, because Niden's such a good guy and he's been practicing really hard in Korea, at least from what I've heard. And it was also his last 2 or 3 weeks in Korea, I believe. I think then he's going back to Europe again. So I would have loved to see him in action at DreamHack. But hey, Ben, we are going to see him in action today. So
yeah, it's always really nice to watch Niden play. He's been playing some great StarCraft, and you know, he's.
And above all, I just hope that he's in good state, because it would be really sad if he had to play these games while he was still feeling ill.
I do feel like that time in Korea has been good for him, though. I mean, it looks like his results have been getting steadily better, and you know, I hope to see him play well here. I look forward to seeing him play at Home Story Cup. I assume he'll be there.
I hope so too.
He's kind of a home story fixture.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Niden really got known to the big audience out there after Home Story Cup 3, where everybody was like, "Who's this guy? You know, actually, he's adorable. We all love him. We all love him." That's kind of how it went. Yeah, Home Story Cup, of course, coming up as well. But Ben, let's focus on the tiebreaker for now. We see Thorzain once more being the blue Terran, spawning on the right side of the map. And of course, Dignitas Select is our North American / Korean Terran, spawning in the left bottom side as the red Terran.
That's right. And no Proxy Marauder this time, but he did go with a gas opening, as did Thorzain. Pretty much identical openings on each side. These guys getting their orbitals at the same time. And at this point, there's just been no variance. These guys both doing the same build.
Yep, Thorzain is going to drop a quick factory as soon as he hit 100 gas, and we can see that Select was, well, at least aiming to do the same, but now he suddenly went back. Select, what you going to do with all that gas? Oh, he's going to drop the reactor before he's going to drop anything else.
Interesting. He's got so much like of a mineral build-up. I feel like he might be thinking expand. And is there an SCV to build a command center anywhere?
Well, there's the scouting SCVs coming back, but he has to go for the expand, Ben. He's already up to 370 minerals. Yeah. He's going to drop the CC right now. Meanwhile, Ben, in the main base of Thorzain, we can see Thorzain dropping his 2nd refinery already. And then, of course, you did not have to go to Oxford to figure out that.
You know what? It is so funny that you say that, Kev, because this day in history, in what year was it? 1214, the University of Oxford received its charter.
Well, what a coincidence. I wouldn't, who would have guessed? But of course, what I want to say is that you didn't have to go to Oxford to figure out that he might be going for Cloak Banshee. Of course, whenever a Terran opens up with a build like this, ooh, Thorzain even doing the small things right now, Ben. Sending the mule back to the left side, making sure that it doesn't carry 30 unnecessary minerals. Thorzain knows this is a big game, and Thorzain, Ben, had a really good run in Season 2. He won the open bracket, which of course, kind of kept the tradition alive of the player who wins the open bracket gets recruited by EG. And then he also made it to the final. So I guess in the future we're going to see, well, we cannot announce that yet, but never mind. What I want to say is that Thorzain made it to the top 4 when he was actually at the final, and he played really, really great StarCraft over there. And of course he had that nice famous run over the red carpet as well.
Came blazing down that red carpet like a hurricane, man.
Thorzain. Straight into his booth. He was ready to play some StarCraft.
And then he lost.
Yeah, I guess Sen, right?
Yeah, it was like 2-0.
No, that was not 2-0, because they played more, because that was already, there was a 3rd place. Ah, you mean in the semi-final? I think it was the semi-final, yeah.
When he ran down. He ran so fast, and then he was out of there.
But who did
like
Thorzain?
Yeah,
who did Thorzain lose to in the semis? It was either than Puma or Hero. Was it Hero?
It had to be Puma.
Yeah, I think it was Puma. It was bottom side of the grid. That was Season 2. So Thorzain had a very good run, and now, Ben, he has to fight for his life to even stay alive to make it to the finals. But he's on the right road.
Yeah, and he's opening pretty aggressively here, but he's not going to... he has transitions, right? He's getting that command center. He's opened up with the Banshee, with the Cloak, but he's still expanding behind it. He's not going to do like the 1-1-1 all-in variation.
Ooh. So far, so good for Select. He runs into the first Banshee straight away, so he's going to spot that. Engineering base more than halfway done, but more importantly, Ben, 2 Vikings on the way already for Select. Select, who wants to go for quick bios as his team. He doesn't have any upgrades yet on his Marine, so I'm a little bit surprised to see this reactor on this starport. He's going to find the Banshee, and the Banshee is going to activate Cloak right now, so he knows there is Cloak. He hasn't double orbital though, so he throws on the scan. He will be able to pick off the Banshee.
Very well done, using only the Marines. Didn't even need the Vikings, and all of a sudden Thorzain finds himself in a bit of an unenviable position. He is ahead in workers because he's been producing SCVs this entire time. Yep. But it's double orbital for Select, and he's mining on both bases, so I think this is a little bit better for Select.
I agree. We see 2 tech labs going down right now. Of course, he could definitely use some bio upgrades. It's gonna start off with Stim, I assume. Yep, Stim before combat shields. No surprise there. Thorzain does have his second orbital command up and almost running now as well. He's gonna float it over to the low ground. So in the near future, the economies are going to be even. And some people might say, wow, Cloak was a useless investment so far. You could agree with that, but then again, Cloak is always useful throughout the entire game, because it's really something that can always turn battles around if your opponent doesn't have energy, or just to be annoying at a potential new base, float around, get a better scout off. So despite not really killing the amount of workers that he should have killed, it's definitely not necessarily useless.
Yeah, one thing that Thorzain definitely has going for him, he's got a very fast +1 coming up. Select again going to get into the base of Thorzain and pick off a Banshee. Viking for a Banshee. I think that's a trade that Select's going to be pretty happy with.
He's going to be very happy with it, because not only is the Banshee more expensive, the Banshee also has Cloak. He knows that, so he doesn't have to worry about the Cloak Banshee right now. And that is awesome.
It is certainly a sigh of relief knowing that that's not something that he's going to have to cope with. Combat shields starting up now for Thorzain. He's got no stim yet. Where is he getting combat shields? I only see 1 Rex.
It's here in the bottom of his base.
Ah, sneaky Rex. Thorzain Rex. Man, it's like right next to that dead dragon.
Oh.
What is that thing?
Kind of reminds me of the Pokemon. You remember? The big Pokemon. Oh, it seems like Gyarados.
Yeah, I can see it.
Hey, the Marauder is trapped, I believe. Marauder wants to hang out with Gyarados. But I'm afraid he's going to need a Charizard to lift him up and fly him out of there.
Oh, you. Thorzain on the move right now. He's his +1's going to be done. He's not going to have stim, but combat shield should be finishing up. And he's going to have siege mode as well. It's going to make this a pretty strong push. Select's going to be forced to defend without siege mode. But, oh wait, no, Select does have siege, so this is looking pretty good for Select.
Well, Select is going to need to position himself well. Ben, actually, he's moving out right now. He might run straight into the army of Thorzain. No, now he's going to siege up, and that's a really good siege up, because Select doesn't have to fight yet, and he doesn't want to take this fight. Even though Thorzain doesn't really need to take the fight either, because he's actually the player who has the small economic lead, but it's a minor lead. But Select is already getting that third base up, and that's why he's falling a little bit behind in army supply.
Yeah, he's still that big stim advantage is what really makes Select scary right now. Thorzain does not want to move into that.
No. I mean, Select has been investing into other things than purely army. Well, Thorzain has been pumping out a ton of units. Thorzain would love to make something happen, but he also knows that it's not worth sacrificing units. Certainly in a situation like this where you can't really figure out what your opponent has. It's been a while since Thorzain had a peek into the main base of Select. For us, it's obvious what Select has. For Thorzain, not so obvious, and that's always something you have to take into consideration.
Yeah, it is very difficult to attack into siege tanks, so Thorzain knows that. He's just going to sit back on the Selnaga Tower, hold that position, and continue to macro up. He's a little bit ahead right now, and he's also going to go ahead and build his own third command center.
Yep, the one of Select is already up though. This SCV is going to be trapped as well. But this little scout over here, you did see something from Select. You saw a few Marines. You saw a few Marines with Stim. Thorzain had combat shield, so Select knows, hey, my opponent has combat shield. Did he go combat shield before Stim? Yes, actually he did. He didn't know that. He's going to get verification. But Thorzain at least knows that there's already Stim for Select, so he has to be careful.
118 supply for Thorzain, Select at about 105. Thorzain is really macroing ahead at this point. He's got 8 siege tanks to 3. His marine count about even with Select, but other than that, Thorzain's well ahead in every other way.
Thorzain's been doing a really good job at building SCVs, just non-stop throughout the entire game. He never interrupted it, and this is the only reason why he has a work elite in the first place, because Select was actually the player with the quicker expand.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Even when he was down bases, Select actually cut SCVs for a little while, and that allowed Thorzain to overtake him. But Still, it is very close economically. Both these guys just sort of rallying around the middle of the map, sort of jockeying for position. But Thorzain seems to be getting the better of it, and he is continuing to macro further and further ahead. He's at about 150 supply now, whereas SeleCT just at about 130.
Yep, SeleCT sacrificing 5 Marines over here. Well, yes, all of them will fall. I thought maybe 2 will get away, because he wants to get a Selnaga Watchtower as well. We all know that TVT can be like a chess game, and right now, Ben, if you're SeleCT, this is what you see. You have your little sensor tower, and you see there's nothing really close. But when you have neither of the Selnaga Watchtowers, you cannot possibly feel comfortable in a TVT.
Yeah, very awkward spot to be in. Thorzain has all the map control. He's got all the vision.
Perhaps going to be a big skirmish over here. Thorzain is going to siege up. SeleCT is going to do the exact same thing. Neither player has a Selnaga Watchtower right now.
They have drawn their respective lines in the sand and said, do not cross. And SeleCT's just going to be sieging up outside the range of this tower, as is Thorzain, and a single lonely Viking acting as a spotter in between the two.
This screenshot, Ben, is like, one does not simply take a Selnaga Watchtower.
On dual site. But one thing that SeleCT definitely has, Thorzain definitely has going for him is he's got this other hit squad of units down here on the southern side of the Selnaga Tower, and while SeleCT has a little bit back at home to defend with, I do feel like Thorzain could definitely afford to be aggressive on multiple fronts here. Both guys taking third bases.
It's funny, once more, SeleCT had the quicker third base, but by the time it was actually running, it was quicker for Thorzain. Thorzain hits the oh-so-famous 169 supply cap right now. Of course, that's not really a big deal. We see 3 depots on the way. 2-2 is almost ready for him as well. And I like Thorzain's position, man. Everything feels fine, and he's still out-mining SeleCT as well. Even if it's just by a small margin, it definitely could make the difference in the long run.
With 2-2 finishing, Thorzain's going to have a big lead on the ground for a very long time. SeleCT hasn't even begun his upgrades. His armory just now finishing. So SeleCT is literally looking at 3 minutes of fighting from behind. He's trying to get a good position here, but Thorzain's just well sieged, well positioned, and it's going to be very, very tough to get around.
But if SeleCT wants to win a fight in the near future, Ben, it probably has to be right now, right before Thorzain hits 2-2, and also +1 on mech, which could make a big difference as well. SeleCT did take 1 Selnaga Watchtower. We're going to see a big skirmish over here on the left side of the map. SeleCT has a lot of Marines here, so he's going to be fine for now.
Yep, just pushing away this little hit squad of Thorzain's. 192 supply for Thorzain, 177 for SeleCT. Both these guys macroing well. A little bit of a drop, making its way into the back of SeleCT's main base. There's not much here, Kev.
SeleCT just now starting 2-2 while it's already ready for SeleCT and for Thorzain, of course. And SeleCT also starting his +1 on mech. Thorzain straight away starting with 3-3, so he's going to have the superior upgrades. SeleCT will be able to deal with these Marines without losing out too much. Yeah,
very well done there by SeleCT. Minimal losses. And in fact, I would say he got a much better trade there. 184 supply now for SeleCT. He gets 192 of a, once again, supply block to Thorzain. And as I say that, that last depot finishes up, and he's going to go ahead and max out. 10 Marines being built at a time for Thorzain. Macroing out of his mind, +1 weapons attack finishing up.
Both players having quite a bit of money. I wouldn't be surprised to see more orbitals going down. Of course, both of them have a lot of SCVs as well, which is something they would love to sacrifice as soon as they know that it's the right moment to do so. SeleCT playing kind of with fire right now. He's moving out with a very big squad over here on the right side of the map. He's going to go for a scan, picks up a siege tank. He's going to be able to pick up perhaps a Rex or 2 as well. But what is Thorzain's response going to be? I'm
not sure, but I like this move from SeleCT. He's basically sieging the production line of Thorzain. This is going to make it harder for Thorzain to make units and reinforce.
Unsieging everything.
Thorzain moving around the middle of the map, picking off a siege tank and coming in to flank this big force of SeleCT. At the same time, second group of units moving around the top half of the map to try and deny SeleCT's third base.
And they should be able to do so. SeleCT already sees it coming. Very well done. Of course, using the sensor tower, sees all those units incoming. He's just going to evacuate it immediately. Takes minimal losses there. Will end up losing the orbital, but really didn't lose any of the SCVs. So if he has another orbital, which he doesn't have.
Incredible losses being taken in the main here by Thorzain. He's basically every barracks has been taken out. There's just a couple more up in the very back corner. Thorzain is going to try and stem and come in, but there's a medevac advantage here for SeleCT, and I don't think Thorzain can win that fight. At the same time, Thorzain losing some units down on outside of SeleCT's natural, and SeleCT winning fights on both fronts.
Wow.
Appears to be putting himself into a pretty good position.
Yep, he's up suddenly 50 supply right now, but Thorzain is still on 3 mining bases. He lost a ton of infrastructure, and we can see Thorzain straight away throwing down many Rexes. Also an additional command center. That's something that SeleCT could really do as well, and we do see him throwing down the command center as well. It's just a matter of time, though, before Thorzain has those 3-3 upgrades, and, well, if anything can turn things around, I would say it's 3-3 Marines.
I do agree. He definitely has the more well-upgraded army. The problem he has is that
he can't produce that many.
Yeah, he's having trouble producing, and he's down 30-40 supply.
Select, I mean, Thorzain still had 3 siege tanks over here at the, well, what is it? The eastern Zelnaga Watchtower. Oh. But those 2 tanks were not able to deal with this massive army from Select. So Select slowly but steadily taking control of this game. Beautiful TVT so far.
Yeah, really well done. Patient.
Thorzain is completely on siege, and Select is just going to run in.
Tanks are taking some big volleys off, and Select going to continue to march forward. And this might not be a good fight for him to take. The upgrade disparity really showing there, and all of a sudden, Thorzain once again with the supply league. Select just throwing away units. Oh my gosh, a game that he was kind of securing immediately falls. Puts him back behind. Yeah,
he's immediately behind. It's not even right now, despite the supply tab might suggest so. Because Thorzain is still mining from 3 bases, while Select mine on his main, while Thorzain maybe mine on his main as well. So Thorzain is still mining from, well, let's say 1.5 base, while Select is on barely half a base. Can we even call this half a base?
No, man, this isn't even. This isn't even that. This is.
And we have those 3-3 Marines as well for Thorzain. Select is still at 2-2. That was so close though. I can't blame Select for going in, can you? If I saw those tanks and they were not siege, maybe he just thought this is my moment to stim in and win. How often do we say that?
Maybe, man. I would have preferred to have seen him dropping on the tanks or at least trying to take a fight somewhere else. And Thorzain looks like he's going to catch some medevacs in an awkward spot, but Select pulls back. Thorzain opting not to stim.
Imagine if Thorzain would have stimmed.
I don't know if it's going to make too much of a difference, Kev. Some heavy losses being taken now by Select. Tanks doing a really good job in this fight. Medevac's trying to keep Select in there, and he will, in fact, clean up these siege tanks. But again, not before taking some heavy losses. And Thorzain now 60 supply ahead of Select and taking full control of this game.
Pretty sick back and forth TVT here between these 2 excellent foreign Terrans. Select is going to try to re-establish his 3rd base. We still have skirmishes going on the right side. Select is doing this pretty well with the units that he has, and he actually is able to take out this little army from Thorzain, but he's going to need a few more of those exchanges before things really even up.
Much more than just a few. It's still 87 supply to 150. Thorzain's lead approaching 70 supply. His macro just taking off 3 tanks, 10 Marines at a time against Select, who is just starving for minerals. Absolutely starving for minerals. Siege tanks being picked off in the middle of the map here by Select, but it's a good position to be in for Thorzain. I mean, he's just controlling the center. And
Hero Marauder being dropped on top of these 2 tanks. What a sexy play here by Thorzain.
Very nice. Very, very nice. And that is going to make this position assailable, basically. Thorzain could unsiege and move forward once again because, as we can see, Select has nothing else in position there. But no, Thorzain, the Spoon Terran, going to continue to be patient.
I love players who see those opportunities straight away as the moment they happen in a 25-minute, pretty action-packed TVT so far. Like, the last thing that you would immediately think of is like, hey, are those 2 tanks alone? Let me drop a Marauder. And Thorzain instantly does it. Really nice move.
Brilliant decision-making there by Thorzain. Select also been showing us some really good moves, but just one single critical misjudgment.
One big mistake in the middle of the map.
Yeah.
And as I said, man, obviously it turned out horrible, and afterwards it's the fight he never should have taken it. I can't blame him super much. I thought he had the time to take it out as well. And it's always, those calls are hard to make.
It's tanks and it's well upgraded. What Marines were there had great upgrades, Kev, and that's what made it so hard for Select. More Marines stimming forward onto this 3rd base of Select. That command center taking lots and lots of damage. Tons of reinforcements coming up now for Select as he tries to save this base, realizing that he's got to keep it alive if he's going to continue to hang around in this game. Oh no, running into tanks once again. And I don't know if Select GG tapping out, realizing that he can't afford to lose those units, and Thorzain will take out Select in 2 quick games. That means that the only thing standing between Thorzain and that wild card bracket is the ominous, ever-daunting figure of the Romanian Protoss Night End.
Indeed, and this also means that this is the end of Select's run in NASL Season 3. He's had a pretty good season. I wouldn't say the best. Like, we know that Select can do better, but he had a good season. He made it to the wildcard, at least by a tiebreaker, so he didn't make it convincingly, but he was close. And anyway, he did pick up quite some money. I believe he finished the season with 4-3, so that means that he still won $600 this season in the NASL, and, well, we'll be happy to see him back next season.
Yeah, $600. That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Select might
for
say.
Finishing around 20th place in the league, 23rd to be precise.
Yeah, this just in. SeleCT finishes 23rd in Season 3 of the North American
So guys,
Starlight.
deal with it. Use that information. Put it on his resume. Update his Wikipedia. Yeah.
Next up is going to be Thorzain versus Night End, and they're going to play back and forth until one of them loses twice.
I felt like this we had like an Id or comic moment there when we both played. Yeah. You didn't notice? I noticed it. It was really funny. It was really funny in my mind. Anyway, guys, we'll be right back with Night End versus Thorzain. So stay tuned for more tiebreaker action here at the NASL.